I'm sitting down to do my makeup and I'm reaching for the Stone Cold Fox palette like I have been since its arrival. And I said, let me go ahead and just film the brushes, which I just cleaned and ready to go, and see how they hold up, just on their own, but also versus the brushes that I tend to reach for the most every time I do my eyeshadow. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Also filming this little priming step because no joke, this is one of the most DM'd questions to me. I'm going to show you right now what I do. I take the primer potion from Urban Decay, whether it's this one or the original. This is the anti-aging. I put that on first, push it all the way up into the brows because it's all oily, all right there. Then I take my MAC paint pot. I'll take whatever one I did not use the prior days. So the prior day I used Painterly. This one is Soft Ochre. Flip flop between the two, and that's how I'm going to use up equal amounts of each container. I usually put it on with this type of a dense stipple brush. This is from Luxie Beauty. And then I just go ahead and do this, let it do its thing, kind of smooth it out with my finger. The warmth of the finger is just going to make this smooth, smooth, smooth. That's it. My first brushes that I will use is something that is very fluffy and very full. So that way I can take the lightest tones in a palette and really push it all the way over the entire eye, the lid, the crease, up into the brow bone as well. So when I'm looking at the Stone Cold brushes, that brush that really kind of resembles this is the F33. It's meant for the face, so you can use it as your highlighter if you like. You can even set underneath your eyes with your powder. I'm just gonna dip right into Trip, dip into Luxe, kind of brush it off and go right in. This brush has a pointed tip at the top. So with that in mind, it's really going to help pinpoint the shadow or whatever product you're kind of putting down. Main difference between that brush for me is because this brush that I tend to use doesn't have a pointed tip. So I can go in, see how it covers the surface area, and I can just go in super fast and cover that area. Based on that, I'm not going to use this for my eyeshadow. I will reserve this for the face. Looking at the second row, the palette here, those are the mid-tone shades of browns, and then you have that that light mid-tone shade of a gray, the one that says You Rock. I am going to skip You Rock and just go right into all of the brown tones. And with that, I will go into every last one just once and then pick up all the shades. And on my skin tone especially, there's not going to be that big of a difference in the shade. I'm going to blend that up here into my crease, but I am also pushing the shade up into my brow bone. You're just watching and saying, why on earth is she going into each shade? I've mentioned this before in prior videos. That's how you're going to use up your shades. That's how you're going to use up your palettes. If you dip into each one. Plus, I just like to see what color I'm going to come out with. I'm going to pick up this E.L.F brush here, which is, I think it's just called a blending brush. I'm going to pick up Fascinated, a little bit of Enigma, because that's what I've been using for my brow bone. I'm going to start blending that up here into the brow bone. Again, also diffusing any type of edges. I'm going to start to build up the depth. So this is where the brush of E22 is going to come and help me. But before that, I know another brush, my own brush that I will be using here. This one's a little bit fatter, but it's dense. So it's like the next brush before I really need to get into that E22. So with that in mind, I'm going into Bold Type. And I'm going to put that into my crease. I'm going to keep reiterating this. You do not need to be doing this. You do not need to be using all these different brushes before you start going to the Stone Fox. I'm just showing you what I do and what my needs will be before I will be reaching for that said stone cold brush. Now I get to reach for E22, go into the last row of the Fox palette and look at where I want to pinpoint that depth, that rich tone shades. So again, sticking with the browns, I'm going to be going into Fickle Fall next. And oh my gosh, I'm just going into Fickle Fall. I'm not going into all the shades. I'm gonna keep my eye open so you can see how E22 goes right into that crease area. Again, because I have hooded eyes. This is soft. I can sit here for most of the day and just enjoy that softness, that feeling I'm feeling right now. E23, right off the bat, I see it as the MAC 217 shape, except the E23 is taller and it's not as fuller as the MAC 217, but it looks exactly like it, just a smaller version of it. So what will that indicate to me? This is going to be that shade that is going to be perfect for that crease area. I'm going into Drama Mama with the E23. So this is going to be where the most depth is going to go. It's going to really increase and deepen with the tone. Another brush that is just very, very soft. I do notice a difference between these brushes versus the other one, the Ultimate Brush Roll. It's the following day. I lost my natural sunlight, but it's back now. And I did all my shadows, same brushes, everything that I had previously had the following, previous day, excuse me. So now I'm going to look at the last row of the Stone Fox palette, and this is where I'm going to be grabbing the deepest, richest shades to really start adding in the most depth, as well as, let's say you want to do a powder eyeliner too. So this is where I'm going to start looking at the very small brushes in the Stone Fox collection. So E27 and E28, I see doing not only that depth function, but also for the lower lash line. I'm going to dip into Cult Classic, Rock Bottom, and Drama Mama. Those three shades will still stay very deep and dark, but just kind of balance all this, this neutral brown that's going on. And just dip once, Cult Classic, Rock Bottom, Drama Mama, boom, tip it off, or excuse me, brush it off, and go right in. This light, for some reason, wants to keep turning it on and turn it off. And see, that deep richness is right there. I'm starting in this outer region first, and then I will pull it in just a little bit and buff it into the middle portion here of the crease. The shape of F31 reminds me of the shape of the brushes that I use already to do my foundation. However, F31, it's not as dense. So I'm actually really curious to see how this is going to work. Alrighty, let's see how this blends it in. Okay, it is moving it around. And it's buffing in great. I don't see any streak marks at all. Looks good. Very soft as the eye brushes. So yeah, this will work. I'm going to do cream contour, so I'm going to use the F29 for that. Barely touching the skin and then blending at the same time. I'm so impressed, not only how soft these brushes are, there's just no streaks, no hairs coming out. Using the biggest brush, the F28 for the bronzer application. Let's see how that works. The brush is so soft, it's like it's barely touching your skin. But it is. I mean, it is applying the product. I'm going to set my concealer now with the F32. Just going into my pressed powder here. I almost forgot to show that on camera. But as expected, it's just like that e.l.f. tapered, getting in there and really setting this area here, which is, you know, a pretty small area, getting into little grooves. The medium powder brush, this is the one I like for blush. This is the F30. Soft. Do I need to say that again? Soft. And goes exactly where you put it. Now I'm just going to put on the shimmer shades in here, and we'll just see how they work with those brushes. But first I need to put on my glitter glue. This is going to a hard place. I'm actually going to put this right here in my center of the lid. I haven't used this one before. I don't like how that looks with the brush. Let me use my finger. Yeah, that applies better with the finger. Okay, I'm going to use the E26. This will be to press in the outer edge here. It just picked it right up. And we'll just press it in this small region here. I usually kind of go back in with my finger to kind of blend the two together. I dipped into Mystery for the other side. I don't like how that, you know what I believe it is? These mauve tones. I'm going to go into I Dig It for this bronze side eye, and I'm going to use this very, very small brush. This is the E29. This is very important if you do have hooded eyes or you need to get into these little tight areas there. I mean, you can use your finger, but at least you're going to put the product placement where you want it to go. I have no idea what shade this is going to be because I'm just getting surprised with every shade. So Fine. Let's go into So Fine. It's not picking it up the way I see it, just opaque with the other side. Okay. It is. It's these mauve tones, the ones that have this little pink tone to it. I don't like this look. Take a little bit of hard place. I'm going to put it on top. Oh, and look how hard place this like yellowish brown just went right on top of all that mauve tones. Why did it do that? Because it says, I know you crap. I know you're crap, right? Now I'm going to use E27. So this is the larger of the two. And just focus that color, or whatever color you want to put down here. Then you'll start to see it not only be buffing out, but you're going to see that the blendness of it. This is just out of sheer curiosity because I use my ColourPop Super Shocks all the time. So I'm just curious how this brush would apply it, especially because it's not as dense, but the F33. I'm just curious how much of this is going to pick up. It did. It picked it up. And it's applying it. So I can use this for my Super Shocks. Now for powder highlighter, I just pulled out the first one that I saw. So I'm going to use my Champagne Pop, Becca Champagne Pop. It's clean. I'm going to go ahead and pat. Go in and let's see. Yep. It's applying it. But again, no streaks. No excess hairs coming out of the brush. It's holding up. My overall thoughts are that brush roll is wonderful. I am very impressed with the quality of the brushes. First off, if you do get it, wash the brushes first and you'll see it still is going to hold up its shape. I'm impressed with how they blend buff in the product. Each brush can be used multiple ways. So, you know, you're stretching out the use of the brush, stretching out the cost of the brushes, the brush roll itself. Now myself, I also won't store them in the brush roll. That would be more for if I'm going to travel. So I can't really, I don't really know how the brush roll is going to hold up in that aspect. But overall, the brushes, I want to say, are a huge improvement over the very first one, the Ultimate Brush Roll. That one did not impress me as much. I didn't do a review on it, but I'll mention it right now. The hairs have come out. I do notice, depending on what product I'm using, it's not necessarily blending the product the best. So what I've done is I've reserved those brushes for, like, you know, show and tell. I have my little cup here, and they're like a decorative piece. Definitely, it's a brush set that I would keep my eyes on, you know, if you're in the market for that. My overall thoughts on the Stone Cold Fox palette, I'll throw it in right now, is I'm very happy that I picked it up. First of all, I have just been using it nonstop since I got it. Like I said, I've got my little dirty marks on the palette to begin with, but I feel the stars of this palette are the mattes. I dip and go into all of these mattes, using them up, showing the marks, and they blend fast, and they're great shades. So if I want to go towards that brown neutral look, or if I want to go more towards that mauve berry look. However, as we saw, the shimmers, or the metallics, whatever they want to call it, depending on what shade you touch, you're going to get a different experience. And that I don't like, because usually with the ColourPop palettes, I don't know what's going on with the formula, usually they perform the same manner. So I don't know what's going on with this one, but I like the browner tone shimmers in here. Those brown tones with a brush or with a finger, it's picking it up and looks opaque. These mauve tones, you need to go back to the drawing board with those. If you are someone, they're like, look, I'm buying this palette and I want everything in here to perform the best, then don't get it because of those colors, the mauve colors. But if you can withstand that, everything else, I feel the pros outweigh the cons when it comes to this palette. So that is it. And I hope the use of showing you the brushes in action has helped you and how they would work for you in your everyday makeup routine. And that's it. Have a wonderful day, wonderful evening. And as always, I'm going to see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.